What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Air Raid Mike, your host of the unscripted, unfiltered, 100% authentic podcast. It's been a while, May 30th to be exact. And we had none other than Miss Jen, the diehard Florida State fan and a wonderful podcast host of the Renegade Report on talking everything Florida State and her thoughts on Florida State potentially going to the Big Ten. Well, let's talk that because that's, a hot topic as well. But without further ado, you're listening to the Air Raid Attack Podcast, proud member of the Off the Ball Network. Speaking of Off the Ball Network, if you're looking for tickets using SeatGeek, simply use Off the Ball Network as a promo code to save $20 on your first purchase. But without further ado, as you all know, July 1 came and gone, and we're a week in to the SEC as Oklahoma is they say 16th member, however you want to look at that. 15th if you want to be ahead of Texas, I'll take that. But we are the newest member of the Southeastern Conference. So without further ado, what better way than to kick things off with a good dude I'm looking forward to get to know and talk some SEC ball. Without further ado, SEC Mo off of the Hog Wild podcast. Mo, first of all, welcome to the Air Raid, and from an new SEC family member to a pretty old school one, I feel great to be part of the SEC. But Mo, how are you doing tonight?
I'm good, man. I'm glad to be a part of the show, man. It's always good to come in and speak with SEC brethren. You know what I mean? Welcome to the SEC. I'm not gonna say Boomer Sooner. What I just did, but
hey, you good?
Hey, it's all Razorbacks, baby. I even put on my gear today.
Yeah.
I had to let the people know because I usually go on my show in all black. You know what I mean? But I had to let people know on the Air Raid Attack podcast. It's all Razorback around here, baby, and it's always horns down.
Yes, sir. Right there. I think the show just ended right there. Always right there. But
that was mic drop.
But Mo, real quick, talk a little about yourself, and as we kick things off, and Hog Wild podcast. I mean, obviously all things I'm sure Arkansas, but your quick insight on the 2024 Hogs in Fayetteville.
Oh man, we just had a big comprehensive show last night, man. If anybody in Boomer Sooner land is interested in learning about exactly what the Razorbacks are bringing to the table in the 2024 season, please go check out my show last night. It's called What If Arkansas? What if the Arkansas Razorbacks stunned the SEC with 9+ wins? We really dug into the team, the statistics, just showing how small of a margin there is between a 4-win season and a 7-win season. I went through some of the statistics as far as our offensive performance last year and what Texas A&M did with Bobby Petrino at the helm last year. And when I tell you the margins are small, man, they're super razor thin, man, and it makes a difference when you talk about a team's record, man. A team's record isn't always indicative of what they are talent-wise, but I'll say that Arkansas has an abundance of talent going into the 2024 season, and I look forward to seeing how it all works out, man. We're doing big things at the Hog Wild podcast, bro. We are currently on the road to 1,000 subscribers, and man, we're just putting in the work right now, Air Raid Mike.
Nice.
I'm sure you can relate, man.
Oh, absolutely. Kind of work's been kind of crazy the last month and a half, but been away, but back at it. But I get the grind of the podcast, and I will definitely be, subscribing. And as always, listeners and viewers that's going to be eventually watching or listening to the show once it drops, hey, give them a listen. And I got some good buddies, Herb and Raj podcast, all things Alabama, a good excuse me. Let's see. There's a lot of them. Boy. Who do I have from the best from a damn beast media talk all things dogs? I can't think. Oh Lord, have mercy. I hope he's not watching this. Anyway,
Ah,
anyway, we're gonna move on. Anyway, SEC.
yeah.
For kick things off, Oklahoma, of course, part of the SEC, along with our little friends down, not really friends, our little brethrens down in Austin.
The burnt orange guys.
Things off. Your thoughts, initial thoughts when Oklahoma and Texas was the announcement. Really based off of a Texas A&M quote unquote rumor that Texas was trying to get out of the Big 12.
Mhm.
Well, that was true or not. It might have been already works in the progress. Who really knows? But your initial thoughts on Oklahoma, Texas, and now what do they bring, in your opinion, to the league full of talented teams
Yeah.
and a conference that's the best in college football, if not college sports in general?
I mean, my initial feelings in it about it are I'm happy, man. I mean, I'm never gonna be against adding blue blood teams to the SEC because it's gonna further solidify the SEC as the best conference in the nation. And if you're in any type of competitive sports or anything competitive, you want to be the best or you want to be a part of the best. And that's just what the SEC is. I mean, in comparison, the Big Ten has made some big moves as well, adding in Oregon and all of those other teams. But I feel like the SEC is always going to be the conference to beat because of the longevity. I mean, the dynasties that we've had in the SEC. You're talking about Alabama. You got the Auburn run. You've got the Florida run.
Yep.
There are so many different aspects in the SEC that make it the best. But just adding in Texas and OU, which are both decorated in historic programs in their own right, just further solidifies that the SEC is here to stay, and we're only getting stronger. I'm not necessarily happy about Texas per se. I feel like I'm a little bit more partial to OU because my older brother graduated from OU.
Fair enough.
But Texas, man, I mean, I feel like y'all are being disrespected, OU fans. I mean, for the most part, over the past decade, OU has been the big brother to Texas in the Big 12. And for the most part, Texas has literally done nothing.
Mm-hmm.
From Mac Brown to Charlie Strong
Tom
to
Herman.
whatever guy, yeah, Herman. Like, what has Texas really done other than be the big brand? Texas is just all brand, no bite. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Um, and I feel like OU is literally being disrespected, even with the schedule y'all pulled this year, man. I mean, y'all have a gauntlet.
Yeah.
And I think that that's going to be an excuse for people to say, if I'm not saying that y'all are going to stumble, but if y'all happen to stumble with the schedule that y'all have, I feel like it's going to be an excuse for people to say that OU is lesser than, when it's not true. Texas just lucked out and got the better schedule. But I mean, overall, I'm happy that y'all are in the conference, man. I'm ready to see some really good football games.
No, you're right, and I'm not, obviously won't be here bashing Texas all day long. I could easily. There's a lot to bash them about, but but Texas, 3-7 in the last 10 games against us. They got 49-0 win against, and cool, you guys showed us out one year. That was, of course, the year I went to the Red River game, but you know, let's just be honest, we didn't have a quarterback, and the best one, they didn't want to ruin his redshirt year. So in Nick Ewers. So I mean, here's the thing. So Texas really hasn't been done, like you mentioned, hasn't done much in the Big 12. Really, the 2005 year, in my opinion, was the best year that they had in the Big 12 overall as a program.
Yep.
Oklahoma dominated in the 2000s, again back in the 2010s, and went on a streak that won 5 straight. Could have, well, in my opinion, should have been 6, but it is what it is. And I thought the refs kind of helped avoid Texas being potentially beaten last year, because I think if Oklahoma gets past Oklahoma State, and I think they would have beat Texas, but neither near nor there. I think Oklahoma and Texas would be perfectly fine. I think Oklahoma.
Yeah.
I know why we're not really panicking. I get why the national media is like, well, Oklahoma this and Oklahoma that, but Brent Venables is a wonderful coach, and people forget that he inherited a program that um, really everybody bounced when Lincoln Riley bounced. I know you're not supposed to say Lincoln Riley around Oklahoma, but when Lincoln Riley bounced, he literally bounced and he took
Yeah,
the best of the best with him, and whether that was out to L.A. or that was across the country. So I think he's just rebuilding and not really rebranding the name of Oklahoma, but he's setting the tone for what's to come. I think Oklahoma fans, I think, are should we're excited about the move, but more importantly, I think if you're at the SEC
yeah.
and there's a
I think that's a
as
really good
he
way to
said,
put it, man.
yeah,
I think that's a really good way to put it because Oklahoma is already a strong brand.
mm-hmm,
You don't necessarily have to rebrand OU, but you do have to redefine the tone of the program and the
right,
direction that it's going to go. The thing that I like about Brent Venables is that and this isn't going to be a Hawk Tua fest on OU. I promise you. Okay.
I love the fact that you just hugged Tua.
This is not a Hawk Tua fest on OU. Okay, from a Razorback fan, but what I'm going to say is that I like Brent Venables and I like his attitude toward the game. I was on Twitter earlier today and I was watching a clip of him talking to media, and there was a media person that said something about how you can't recreate defining moments in practice. He was like, "You can't? Oh, yes, you can. You can create that pressure. You can coach like it's your last down ever coached in football
Mm-hmm.
in practice." And he was saying how that really defines how your players are going to respond in those moments. And I was like, man, that's deep. If you're coaching like that in practice, you're definitely going to get that output from your kids when the push comes to shove in the games, man. And I like that about Brent Venables.
Absolutely, and I like Brent because he pushes. Literally, if you're on the team, you're on the team, and he's going to push it to your best limit. I mean, we're I feel comfortable with this year. I know the schedule is a gauntlet, and it's the SEC for the exception of Vanderbilt. Every game should be a gauntlet. So, um, like I was telling a buddy of mine, I'm excited for. I know a lot of fans out there are a little nervous, but I mean, let's be honest, Mo. We're replacing Oklahoma State
Yeah.
with Alabama. You're replacing Kansas State with Georgia. You're replacing Iowa State with Florida. You're replacing, and then the list goes on. I mean, who wouldn't want to wake up to it wouldn't be much of an 11 a.m. game, but like this year, I think that's South Carolina. I think is our 11 a.m. kickoff. So, I mean, I'd rather wake up to OU playing South Carolina compared to OU playing. And I know they beat us last year, but Kansas to an 11 a.m. kickoff. So,
Yeah.
no, I think Oklahoma fans, I think, we just, I feel that the administration trusts Brent with that 6-year extension to his contract. So he's solidified himself as head coach for quite a while.
Mm-hmm.
His recruiting has absolutely picked up. And what's funny, Mo, is Colin Cowherd specifically said that Oklahoma's recruiting was going to drop off when Lincoln left. And truthfully, I think it's actually a whole lot better than it was. And Emmett Jones is the one, to start off coaches. Emmett Jones. The list goes down the paper trail that hey, they can recruit if not better. So Oklahoma's future is bright. Could we struggle? Could we kind of stumble on the roadblocks in 24? Potentially so.
Yeah.
But I think moving forward, Oklahoma's going to be fine. Oklahoma's going to be fine,
sure.
and we'll compete along with the best of the best in the SEC. So I'm looking forward to it.
I'll say this: if y'all make it through this schedule, man, y'all are gonna be a problem in the SEC for years to come.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all literally pulled the best of the West.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean? Y'all got Auburn, y'all got Alabama, y'all got LSU, y'all got Ole Miss. Y'all literally got the best of the West.
And
y'all literally got
exactly
the SEC West, even though there aren't any more divisions, but y'all got the best of the West, man.
It's not, it's not going to be easy. And who said it was? It's the SEC. I mean, that's why everybody's trying to jump ship to the SEC. So the best of the best is there, and that's why they won. I can't count how many hands on national championships within the last 20 years at this point. So going back to 2000. So no, it's Oklahoma's gonna be fine. I think Texas. I'm curious how they'll do. I don't think the best quarterback is that starting quarterback that can carry him this year, but we'll see.
Best.
Archie actually performed a little Quinn's fine. Quinn.
Say.
Quinn. I think Archie's the better. Like
I agree.
and I'm gonna go a hot take and say Jackson Arnold could be potentially your Spencer Rattler 2.0. And that's just because of Hawkins in the kid's a stud, but Jackson Arnold's a stud too. So I mean, so you have some resemblance, but I think going back to Texas, I don't, Quinn, nothing against him, phenomenal talent, but he struggles in big moments, and
I like Arch Manning a lot.
I do too.
I'm not even gonna.
Even though I'm bummed he's not gonna be in the game though.
Bro, he's gonna be in the game.
Oh, is he now?
He announced it.
Oh, today. I missed that one.
Eli and him made a video today that announced that he's gonna actually be in the game. Sweet. They did that today on Twitter. I'm actually looking at the story right now on ESPN, but Arch Manning is gonna be a problem.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely he is.
Listen, OU fan, Arkansas fan to OU fan, I'm nervous about Arch Manning and his potential over the next 2 to 3 years at Texas, bro. Like that, he is a transcendent talent, in my opinion. And it's not only because of his pedigree, because he has an uncle. You know what I mean? He was literally born and bred to do this. But not only that, from the tape that I've seen of him, he's much more mobile than his uncles.
You know facts on that.
But he has an equivalent arm talent. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
He can do things that his uncles can't with his feet, but he can do everything that they can do with his arm. That's what makes me so scared of him. Not only that, he's super intelligent. He's super smart with the ball. I don't think that he throws a lot of interceptions, bro. But I'm like, the fact that he's able to sit back and develop this first year, I'm scared for the next. I'm really nervous about him for the next 2 to 3 years. I'm honest, man. I'm being honest, man. I like Arch Manning that much.
Here's a good hot take for you. I'm kind of curious what you think. I know it's going to be a non-biased standpoint, just simply because I could care less about the university and the program itself.
Me too.
So it doesn't affect me one way or another. But let's say, for example, I'm looking at Texas. I'm hoping my laptop don't burn while I'm doing this. I'm looking at their schedule right now. Colorado State, I'm not concerned about. Even though Michigan lost a lot of people, Mo, it's still Michigan. They're the defending national champions.
They can absolutely lose that game.
And so I think Texas could easily lose that one. Texas, San Antonio, I know it's in Austin.
Yep.
Don't sleep on the Road Runners, but I don't expect an upset.
It'll be a good game, but
it will. Yeah,
Texas will pull away in that one.
Yep. Louisiana Monroe, whatever. Mississippi State. I'm interested in seeing that one just simply because
you just want to see what Lebby's going to do.
Yep. Yeah. Jeff Lebby knows Texas. I know he don't have the talent like he did at Oklahoma to probably compete, but it's the first SEC game. And remember, I think Texas gets a bye week before Oklahoma, but both Oklahoma and Texas in years past, and at least, I don't know, the last 10, 15 years, both teams struggled the week before Texas, or vice versa with Oklahoma. So it's going to be interesting how they do with Mississippi State. But now we get in a gauntlet, what I call gauntlet for them.
This
Oklahoma. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, not like Oklahoma's gauntlet, but it's a little light one. Oklahoma followed by Georgia. Yeah. Here's what I'm going with this. So my question to you is this: if Texas was to lose to Michigan, it's doable. Not saying it's going to happen, but it's doable. They lose to Oklahoma. I mean, why not? Texas's best team last year lost to them, so there you go. And then Georgia, which I'm going to be straight up blunt with you. First of all, I don't know how in the world Alabama got stuck with us due to the fact that we had to replace Georgia with Ball State last year or 2 years ago. But anyway, let's just say they lose those three. Do you put Archie in to finish out the season with against Vandy, Florida, Arkansas, Kentucky? And I'm really curious about A&M. I'm looking forward to that one. Even though I can't stand.
I'll be honest. There is a possibility that Texas could be 4-3 at the end of that Georgia game. Now, would I put Arch Manning in? I would say yes, and here's why. at 4-3, you don't have anything else to play for this season.
Yeah, you're out of the SEC championship run, and the playoff
Out of
is out of
the
the
SEC
question.
championship run, you're out of the playoff run. At this point, you're just playing for stats.
Mm-hmm.
And what you want to do right now is get Arch Manning quality work, because Quinn Ewers is going to be a first-round pick regardless of what Texas' record is. That's just because he's a stout quarterback. I mean, he's really good. He's a really good quarterback. Just put it that way. But if I'm Sarkisian, I'm looking to the future. If we go on a losing streak, if we're 4-3 after that Georgia game, I'm putting Arch Manning in to play Vanderbilt, Florida, Arkansas, Kentucky, and I may sit him against Texas A&M just because it's Texas A&M, and that's going to be a rivalry game.
You got to bring Quinn back in, even if he doesn't. Even if he goes, that's if they're struggling. You got to put Quinn in.
Yeah,
just because of that
you don't
first
want
game.
Texas A&M to beat Texas. You know what I mean? But that's a real possibility, bro. I mean, it's a real possibility that Texas can lose to Michigan. They can lose to OU, and they can lose to Georgia. I'm definitely penciling in that L against Georgia, because I think that these Texas fans are really underestimating what it is to go and play Georgia. You know what I mean? Like, I really
absolutely right.
They're underestimating that. Yeah, you beat Alabama, but you beat an Alabama that was on a downtrend with a Nick Saban that knew he had 1 foot in and 1 foot out the door. Yep. And his teams played that way. Kirby Smart is a different animal in the same beast, all in one, because he not only learned from the best in Nick Saban, but he's a little bit younger and he's a little bit meaner right now. You know what I mean? He's got way more edge on him than Nick Saban does. And that's how his teams are going to play. Georgia is going to be loaded. As loaded as Texas thinks they are, Georgia is equally and more loaded.
No, they are, and the key, and you're right about that. The key to that is, one, they got Carson Beck back.
Yep,
standout quarterback, phenomenal. He'll, as long as he stays healthy, he'll be. Who knows what he'll do?
Heisman race too.
He's got All-American tackles in Green and Ratledge. Your running game is, I think, going to be right back to where they are. I know they picked up a running back from Florida. So, I mean, that'd be good. But, I mean, that defense, let's just be honest, that Georgia defense is just nasty.
Yes.
They're just I know they got 6 players coming back, I believe, from a team that should have been, in my opinion, should have been in the playoffs last year. Sorry, Texas. I thought you guys got out. But, you know, Georgia's a flat, nasty team.
Yeah.
I don't see Georgia losing to Texas, and I don't think it's going to. And I'm going to be honest with you, I don't think it's close.
No. Kirby Smart is chasing another natty, man. Kirby Smart is trying to get some more hardware, bro. And he knows what it is to slip up in the middle of the season against a Texas team. I mean, but you got to see, bro, the Texas schedule is so light, man. I mean, Colorado State, UTSA, UL Monroe, Mississippi State, Vanderbilt. Then you got a hot seat, Billy Napier at Florida, hot seat Sam Pittman at Arkansas. Then you got a middle of the road Kentucky. You know what I mean? And then we don't know what Texas A&M is going to be, because they got a new coach too. You know what I mean? So just overall, the biggest games on Texas's schedule is Michigan, OU, and Georgia, and that's it. You know what I mean? Those are the schedule-defining the schedule-defining games for Texas, or season-defining games, I should say, for Texas. They can't afford to slip up, bro.
And you know, by experience, Mo, I'll be honest with you, brother. Don't count out Arkansas. They always do for one major upset in the month of October or November. They're always due. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I ain't going to sit there and say go.
Listen, man.
I'll be rooting for you guys, but they're always Arkansas is always due.
I try to temper expectations every single year, because anytime we as an Arkansas fan base give the Razorbacks any type of expectations, they always fail, bro. Always. But whenever we go into a season with no hope, Arkansas wins 8-9 games out of nowhere, bro. They do it every single time. And at this point, the fan base is hopeless. The only hope that we have is in Bobby Petrino, man. But what I was saying is that our team has a lot of talent, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Arkansas has a lot of talent.
Yep.
A lot of people don't know who Taylor Green is. Taylor Green is the Mountain West Championship game MVP.
Yep.
And they played a really good UNLV game in that championship game. A good UNLV team. I'm sorry. UNLV's head coach is Barry Odom. I'm sure you know who Barry Odom is.
Oh, I know very,
you know what I
very
mean.
well. Yep.
Former SEC head coach at Missouri, then former DC at Arkansas when Arkansas was running that umbrella concept against everybody, and we actually won 9 games that season. But Taylor Green is dynamic. I'm not saying that he's Lamar Jackson, but he's definitely got some skills and tools that Lamar Jackson had. Then we got Jaquindon Jackson, a running back out of Utah, former 4-star quarterback turned into a converted running back at Utah. Jaquindon Jackson is a beast. Then we picked up Jordan Anthony from Texas A&M, which is a track star. Then we picked up Caffrey Brown, which is another track star, which is De'Ami Brown's little brother. De'Ami Brown is actually in the NFL. Then we picked up some defensive pieces as well, man. Anton Jinkaj out of Albany, New York. Then we picked up Xavier Sori from Georgia, which is a linebacker. And then we picked up Danico Slaughter, which is a DB from Tennessee. I mean, we got pieces, man. And then we got Landon Jackson. We've still got our receivers. We still got Andrew Armstrong. Then we got a 6'6" beanstalk in Tyrone Broden. Then we got Isaiah Satania, which is a speed demon, and then we have a retooled offensive line. So Arkansas fans have a lot to look forward to. I would just say that we need to temper our expectations until we can get out of that Oklahoma State game. That is going to be the defining that's the season defining game for Arkansas at Oklahoma State.
And Oklahoma State, you just don't know. It could be the same team that got whipped around by South Alabama. It could be the same team that, even though they cheated, beat an Oklahoma team. But, the refs always help out. But, no, I mean, jokes aside, no, you're right about that. I mean, Arkansas is a team, and, like I said, they're not due. There's always that one time in the end of the year that Arkansas always has that one moment. And Texas. I mean, I'm just saying.
Last time we played Texas at home, it got ugly, and we got them at home this year. The thing that I like about Arkansas this year is our home schedule. The biggest game, pretty much the biggest games that we have are at home. We got. I mean, Auburn is away, but I mean, we don't know what Auburn is going to look like because we don't know what their quarterback situation is.
Right.
We know that Hugh Freeze is a second-year Hugh Freeze is always going to be dangerous, but it's this year in the SEC, it's the year of the quarterback. You know what I mean? So we've got Tennessee at home. We've got LSU at home. We've got Ole Miss at home. And we've got Texas at home. The only away games that worry me are Missouri, of course. And then we have Oklahoma State. And, I mean, Texas A&M is a neutral site game, so that really doesn't count. But we always struggle against Texas A&M for whatever reason at Jerry World. But I feel like Arkansas can really put it together because of the home slate we have with Tennessee, LSU, Ole Miss, and Texas. Though if those were road games, we would have no chance. But the fact that they're all at home and we have the opportunity to actually put together a run before we get to Tennessee at home, I think we have a chance. And another thing is that we have bye weeks between that Tennessee game and that LSU game. And then we also have a bye week between, I believe, the Ole Miss game and the Texas game. So our schedule is favorable. It's just a matter of how we put together that talent on the offensive side of the ball. And I have full faith in Bobby Petrino.
Oh, absolutely. I think Bobby's a guy that can really help turn that program around and get them in motion. And I think Arkansas is a team, that can be that dark horse team that we'll talk down later on in the show. And real quick comments from Twitch. Diggs BTW1. Hey, what's up? How's it going? Well, thank you for chiming on in. Derpy Entertainment via the YouTube. Just want to say it's Georgia is a top dog as usual, but then the doors are completely open to anybody now that the with changing of the tide in Texas. I don't expect now that they are in the SEC.
Mm,
I'm going to be 100% on with you on Derpy on that one. I hope I'm saying that right. Georgia is definitely the team to beat.
absolutely.
No doubt, not going to knock that
Yeah,
one by any means. And I think 2 through 16. Well, I think Vandy solidifies 16, so I say 2 through 15 is completely wide open.
it is.
And then that's Texas schedules. That's ugly. Yeah, it's if they can
That's
survive
the
Oklahoma and
story.
Georgia, then they got it homemade
Yeah,
to the SEC championship, and then
yeah.
from there for the playoffs. So.
That's the story of the year, in my opinion, man. As far as OU and Texas coming into the SEC, is Texas is strength of schedule, and it's trash. And when I say it's trash, it's super trash because they got a cakewalk, man. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
other than OU and Georgia, there are literally no equally competitive games that you can really count to say like, dang, this is going to be a tough game for Texas. You know what I mean? But like I said, man, that OU schedule is rough, bro. We can talk about it a little bit later whenever you want to get into it. But man,
Yeah, let me pull it on up. Yeah, because I mean, you're looking at
even y'all's out of conference games are pretty tough.
I was about to say that was one thing I was about to mention. Temple, they moved that from a Saturday to a Friday night, which is interesting. But Temple, I don't expect much from Houston. They're still trying to find their identity, really
You
just
got
as a
Tulane.
program. But
They're gonna be
Tulane's a
scrappy.
team. Tulane's a team. A main down the road. I'm not worried about. Tulane is a team. A few years back they should have beat Norm, even though it was a home game for Tulane because of the hurricane that took place. So they they kept it in Norman, but made Tulane the
Yeah,
home team. Should have beat OU then. They did beat eventually Lincoln Riley and USC at the Cotton Bowl.
yeah.
Tulane's a team. It's a
I was
2:30
actually at
kickoff.
that game. That was a great game, bro.
It was a very great game.
Yeah,
That it was great to see. Tulane's a team that they can make. You know, right before Tennessee.
yeah. I mean, they can make it
That's
ugly.
they can make it interesting before
Yeah,
SEC play.
they're gonna be scrappy, bro. In that Tennessee game for y'all is gonna be tough because
Yep.
this is gonna really be a game that really shows you what type of defense Brent Venables has
Hmm.
put together.
Yep.
Because one thing you should know for certain is that Tennessee is gonna put up points. Just like y'all, Tennessee is gonna put
Yep.
up points. And then they have that freshman QB that everybody's going crazy about, Ugalulele.
Mhm. Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yes.
I don't even know how to pronounce his name, man, but I'll just say ukulele right now. Ukulele. But no, I mean, no disrespect to that kid, but he's super talented. And that's why it's very important that by then y'all's defense needs to be defined. Y'all's defense
Yep.
needs to be primed and ready to go before you get Tennessee at home, because after that you're going to Auburn.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Y'all have never played at Jordan Hare. And
Correct.
what I'll say is that Jordan Hare Stadium has this mystical, magical pixie dust magic that goes on there, that balls just don't bounce the right way. And I mean, it gets crazy at Jordan Hare, bro. Just put it that way. I've seen a lot of crazy things happen at Jordan Hare, whether it be balls bouncing the wrong way or
Yep.
refs not seeing specific stuff. So just beware. That's a losable game, believe it or not, at Auburn. And it's the same for Arkansas. We
Mhm.
go to Auburn too, so that applies to us as well. And then y'all got Texas down here at the Cotton Bowl. Just because y'all are in the SEC right now, I might look into getting some tickets. I've never been to a Cotton Bowl
You
game.
never been?
Nope, never. But
Well,
I'm always pay fair.
I'll say this. I'm hoping to be back there this year. I'm definitely hoping to be back this year. But I went 2 years ago. I had the opportunity last year, but for some reason I couldn't make it, which I'm a little bummed on that one because Nick Anderson's game-winning touchdown with a few seconds left. That was a bummer.
Yeah.
But my first one I actually attended was the one that we got shut out on. So, but regardless, the environment was amazing. I mean,
Yeah.
it's far from anything in any other rivalry that there is. But
Yeah.
yeah, definitely. If I can get
See,
down there, I'll hook you up.
hit me up, man. You know, I live in Dallas, so I'm here.
Very nice. Yeah,
Yeah,
you ain't far from me.
I'm
then.
here, man. And then you got North Carolina at home.
Which I'm a little
No,
bummed Spencer
not
Rattler
North Carolina, South Carolina. Yeah,
I'm a little disappointed Spencer Rattler graduated. I would have loved to seen Spencer Rattler back in Norman. He would have gotten booed. Like, I don't know how it's perfect storyline for that, but oh well, life goes on. Ole Miss on the road though.
Piss. I call him Old Piss, man. My
11
wife
a.m.
graduated from Ole Miss. My nephew
11
too.
a 11 a.m. kickoff or potentially noon. We don't know exactly yet. Doesn't matter. That plays Lane Kiffin, Jackson Dart, my favorite to win the Heisman.
Then they have a retooled defensive man. This is what
they
I'll say about Ole Miss. That is my dark horse.
mm-hmm.
You know, Ole Miss is my dark horse to win it all because,
yes, sir.
Just like Tennessee and just like OU, you don't have to worry about points being scored. But the thing that was Ole Miss's Achilles heel for so long was their defense. Yep. And when I say that Lane Kiffin stocked up in the transfer portal on the defensive line and in the secondary, he did so. And Ole Miss has the opportunity to really take a step forward this year. I don't want to see it personally, but that's my dark horse team.
Yep, that's mine. That's big time mine.
Yeah. And then you got Maine. Then you got your bye week in Maine. You know what I mean?
I feel bad. Like how they said it because I know South Carolina. That's our first ever meeting with South Carolina. That's cool. I like that.
This is going to be y'all's first time playing South Carolina.
First time ever playing South Carolina.
Wow. Yep. Okay, so I guess y'all are going to be 1-0 in that series.
And then you got Maine, which I like that. Well, first time OU's playing Maine. Well, that's cool because it's unless OU comes up and it's a 1:30 kickoff, it doesn't matter what time the kickoff is.
And then you get a back end gauntlet, bro. My word.
The last 3 games of the season is going to be if they're in the race still at this point for the SEC. This is going to be your what we always call championship November. It was a down stretch from the beginning of November to towards the end for the Big 12 championship, what they always call the championship November. This will be it right here. If there's still such a thing, if they're in the race at this point still, I mean, they could be out. I don't really know.
You could be in the race,
if they can make some win, if they can beat Tennessee, which I'm a little curious how that goes because Josh Heupel returns back to Norman for the first time since he was fired as the OC, but of course he played for that national championship team. Yeah. Auburn, like you mentioned earlier on in the show, you just don't know what team you're going to get. Texas, it doesn't matter. Stats, records, rankings, that goes out the door.
Yep. That's just
South
to the wall game.
Yep. Yes, that game doesn't matter. I mean, John Blake, which he wasn't very successful at Oklahoma. Phenomenal recruiter at Nebraska, North Carolina, wherever else he was at, but head coach wise wasn't here. His first win against Texas. So there you go, Texas. You can say you're back. So you define people's careers. I put it that way. South Carolina, whatever. I think without they lost quite a bit. Ole Miss, I could see that being an L, be on the road. So they're doable still being in the SEC race. So if they're still in the SEC race for Atlanta, here's where the championship moment of November is going to kick in. Missouri on the road, Alabama in Norman, and then LSU to finish off in Death Valley.
This is going to be y'all's first time playing in Death Valley too, bro.
Yep.
It's the complete. I'll say this: it's the complete opposite of Auburn. A lot of luck happens at Auburn for Auburn, but at LSU, it's pure intimidation. When they say it's Death Valley, it's Death Valley. That's where dreams go to die, brother. You know what I mean?
Well, and I made a comment on a guest of the Herman Raj podcast. And speaking of Herman Raj, they just popped in to say, just came in here to show my boy Mike some love. Appreciate you guys. And, we'll be whooping that Crimson Tide, Roll Tide.
Oh, they're Alabama fans?
They're Alabama fans, yes.
I think I just followed them on Twitter, man. I definitely got to hit them up when it's Alabama. Well, we don't have Alabama on our schedule this year.
Not this year, no. They probably replaced Texas, I'm sure.
They have to because Texas and Arkansas is an actual rivalry back from the Southwest Conference. So
Southwest
we have to play Texas now. Yeah.
So no, they're wonderful, wonderful gents doing a wonderful job on their podcast. They're rock and rolling with that, and they'll actually be in Norman for the Alabama OU game. So
okay, all right,
we're gonna make it happen, but. going back to where dreams come true and careers end. And I made a comment on their show, and they had a LSU fan by the Miss Daily Joy. But here's what I said. I think, and really, I was going to say you can include other coaches, but this could be Brian Kelly's final. Keep me and we'll see what happens. Because I'm going to be honest with you, Mo. I think Brian Kelly at LSU's on the hot seat.
You think so? I'll say this, because we don't know what a post Jaden Daniels LSU is gonna look like. I could see what you're saying, because
especially if they lose in Lincoln Riley in USC in week 1.
What's their quarterback's name? Graham Mertz.
Yeah.
I mean, they say that he's got talent. They say that he's dynamic with his feet. He's no Jaden Daniels.
No.
LSU has picked up some big recruits, but they've also lost some big recruits. I think that this is going to be a defining year for Brian Kelly, because he doesn't have Jaden Daniels, and you really don't know what we really don't know what we're going to get with LSU. We know they're going to have talent all across the board, but what type of offensive identity are they going to have? And last year, their defense struggled. I mean, Harold Perkins did not show up in a lot of those games last year, and that secondary was porous. That LSU secondary was absolutely porous. The only reason they won as many games as they did is because of Jaden Daniels.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I'm with you on that, bro. I could see how this could be kind of like a seat warming year for Brian Kelly.
I'm going to pull up the schedule. I know they start off with Lincoln Riley, even though I know Lincoln Riley, the rumors have it was he's trying to pull out of that game.
LSU's draw isn't that bad either.
No.
They start out with Lincoln Riley at USC, and we all know that this is a hot seat year for Lincoln Riley.
Yeah, I think he's another one. I think if he has which he could easily lose a lot of games.
Yeah,
he could be out the door. I don't know if he makes it through the season, but we'll see.
Yeah. Then they got Nichols State. That's a W. Then they have South Carolina at South Carolina. We're gonna see what Shane Beamer does.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are saying Shane Beamer's on the hot seat this year too, man. I don't know.
I've been hearing those. I'm not buying those. I'm not buying that one. Mm-mm.
I'm not either. I think that South Carolina fans understand that they're in a rebuild.
He lost a lot of talent to the draft this past NFL draft.
Did. But he also lost what's that receiver's name that went to Ole Miss from from South Carolina?
I really don't want to Google it because I can see his name.
Oh man, golly, man. I can't think of his name right now.
Antoine Wells.
Juice Wells.
Yep.
He went to Ole Miss.
Yep.
Ole Miss picked him up.
I had to think of that because that's going to bother me.
One of their biggest targets before he got hurt.
Yep.
So I see them winning that game. Then they got a Big Ten game in UCLA. You know, UCLA is in the Big Ten now.
Mm-hmm.
Then they got South Alabama, which is a cakewalk. So I mean, I don't see I don't see much of a stretch. Any one of these games, it's going to be a problem for the rest of the season.
Mm-hmm.
If he loses that USC game, it's going to be a struggle for the rest of the season. Now he's going to pick up wins at Nichols, South Carolina, UCLA, and South Alabama. But that one loss it's not going to give you any breathing room down the stretch, because after South Alabama, they got Ole Miss.
And that's not going to be an easy one.
No.
Even in Death Valley. I mean, like I said, I'm going to stick to my word on Jackson Dart. I think my opinion, he's my Heisman favorite.
Yeah. And then they come to Fayetteville. After Ole
like
Miss.
I said, either in October or November, that they're due always for one upset. So that could be that one right there. I don't know.
One thing about that Arkansas and LSU series is that it's one of those games that stats go out the window, talent goes. It's a balls to the wall game always against LSU, because we consider LSU a slight rival as well, but we always play LSU close, always. Then they got Texas A&M at Texas A&M. That's going to be a tough game. Then they got Alabama. We don't know what Alabama's going to look like with Kalen DeBoer, but we know they have a stockpile of talent, and we know that Kalen DeBoer is a hell of a coach.
Yep.
Then they got Florida, hot seat Napier. Then they got Vanderbilt, and then they got
whatever.
OU.
Yep.
So I mean, LSU has a lot of room to struggle this season. I mean, even though that the front end of their schedule isn't as bad, but that the middle of that schedule is crazy.
Well, and that's the stretch right there for themselves. We talk about OU and well, not really much to Texas is, but we look at the gauntlet, so to speak. I mean, that's their quote unquote version of the gauntlet. I mean, let's just say play devil's advocate and say USC somehow pulls off the upset in Las Vegas against LSU. So now you got, Ole Miss. That's not going to be a gimme. Arkansas is always interesting, especially in Fayetteville.
Yep.
Texas A&M. I don't know program identity wise where they're trying to take this program to.
Yeah.
But Kyle Field's always a tough, and it's obnoxious and loud in that place. Yeah. And Alabama. I mean, and then you got you got to throw in Florida just because of the fact that their coach is Mr. Billy's on the hot seat. So I mean,
they're gonna be fighting for their lives in every single game. So you're gonna give Florida's best shot every single game.
Yep. So no, I mean, you look at the previewing the SEC top 16, obviously now with Oklahoma. So let's set the stage. Now we got officially, here we go, 2024. What a lot of people thought it was gonna be 2025, but I'm glad that we got it now. 16 teams now from 14 to 16.
Yep.
We got now we're talking about Alabama. Their life begins now. Life after Nick Saban. What do they look like with Kalen DeBoer and Alabama? Which I made a comment that I thought Kalen DeBoer doesn't make it through his first few years as a head coach. But
but you know what? With the expectations that Alabama fans have, that's not a hard thing to say, because if he loses 2 to 3 games this year or even next year, they're going to want him fired.
Mm-hmm.
A 9-win season or an 8-win season is unacceptable at Alabama, period.
Yeah, I'm not for sure if Herman Rodgers is still on here, but if you guys want to chime in on your Alabama, what's the expectations? I mean, what would it take for you guys to, as a fan, or not fan base, but for Alabama to fire Kalen DeBoer before his, what I call rookie contract, so to speak, is up? But, I thought, Dan Lanning, Georgia's now trying to go for a third national championship in 4 seasons. It's possible.
Yep.
But overall, who would break it down? Who's your top tier teams that would easily be, you can see in the SEC? Mm-hmm. What's your middle of the teams that they got a chance, but yeah? And then what are your teams that, they can play football or at least attempt it, Vanderbilt? At least they can attempt it, and they may make a bowl, they may not, and they're just playing for the hell of it.
I would say that out of 16 teams, we would have to break it down into 4s, right?
So,
we can do a top 4, middle 8, and bottom 4. I would say that my top 4, just off of prior performance, statistics, and everything else, I'll have to put Alabama there. I'll have to put Georgia there. I'll have to put LSU there. And I will have to put, gosh, I hate to do it, but I'll have to put Texas there right now, man. And I'll tell you why. Only because I know what they have at quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what Jackson Arnold looks like right now.
Right. None of us do. Right.
But I also know that they have I don't even want to put that type of pressure on Arch Manning. I just like Arch Manning. But I'll say that the top 4 programs right now, just based on ranking and historical performance, aside from historical performance for Texas, but I'll say that the top 4 to beat right now are Alabama, Georgia, LSU, and Texas. And no disrespect to Boomer Sooner Nation, but y'all are right after in the middle. You know what I mean? In that middle tier. Just because I think that'd be fair.
Yeah.
Just because of y'all schedule.
Well, I think that's a fair adjustment because, I mean, real quick, the offensive line's full of transfers. I mean, we got the best in Coach B in the offensive in the world with the offensive line. So I know I trust him with that. But again, you still got to mold them all together. So, and the quarterback position, and you nailed it. We seen him in the bowl game. I know it wasn't his best performance. It's a bowl game, but I mean, it's still a stat as a status can be. So no, I think that's a fair adjustment,
Yep.
especially on offensive.
Yep. So my next four is going to be OU, Ole Miss, Tennessee, and then I'm going to say Texas A&M. That's my next four. Okay. Texas A&M has a new head coach, but they are loaded with talent. We know that Jimbo Fisher had top 1-2 recruiting classes for 2 or 3 years in a row, but didn't necessarily know how to develop that talent or maintain a locker room. We don't know what type of coach Mike Elko is other than what he did at Duke.
And he took a program that was literally face down and to a degree revived them and made them competitive.
Yep. So I mean, that's where I stand with that. So we got Alabama, we got Georgia, we got Texas, and who do we say? Alabama, Georgia, Texas, LSU. Yeah. And then we got OU, Oklahoma. Oh no, OU, Ole Miss, Texas A&M, and who else was it?
Trying to think. Tennessee, OU.
Yep, and Tennessee.
Yeah.
All right. So after that, we got Missouri. I'm gonna give Missouri at number 9. And that's because historically Missouri has been a middle of the road program. Their best season was last year. And that's heavily predicated on their run game. You know what I mean? If that little bitty running back, that bowling ball of a running back wasn't on that team, we don't know what Missouri would have looked like. But one thing that scares me about what they're doing up there is that they're recruiting at a high clip right
Yes, they are.
They're recruiting their asses. I mean, excuse my French. They're recruiting their butts off at Missouri right now. So they could be a problem.
And I think they're going to have to because you got Texas and Oklahoma, which they're familiar with program-wise. And, back, like you said, last year was their best program in the SEC since they've been a part of the SEC.
Yep.
And just like in 2007, I think was their best year in the Big 12. I mean, so they got to continue to keep it at a high level because now you got two teams that are juggernauts. I don't care. I know Texas hasn't been the dominant of the past, but hey.
Yep. So I'm gonna start the middle 9. I mean the middle 8. The second set of middle 8 at number 9 with Missouri. Then I'm gonna go with Auburn. Then I'm gonna go with Kentucky, and then I'm gonna go with who else is it? I'll go with South Carolina right there, man, because South Carolina, I mean, they had a decent season under Shane Beamer. You know what I mean? He did a lot with a little. You know what I mean?
No, absolutely.
Spencer Rattler was getting his head blown off every play last season. I mean, and they still managed to win a decent amount of games. So I'll have to give that to that last spot to South Carolina, and then to finish it off, I'll go with Arkansas right after South Carolina. Then I'll go with Florida because we beat Florida last year, so we got bragging rights. You know what I mean? That was our 4th win of the season. Even though they had a better record than us, I feel like because we have the win over them, I can put them above Florida. So I'm going to go Arkansas, Florida. Then I'm going to go Mississippi State and then Vanderbilt.
Missouri was in the SEC. Yeah, I'm going to lie. I totally forgot about that year.
They did. That's when they had that defensive end, man. That came out as
Michael something.
Gosh, man. Yeah. That's Michael, the year that was actually their first. I think that was their first year in the league.
I think you're right.
That was their first year in the league.
I think so.
That's when they had that mean defense, and that's when I think Barry Odom was the head coach.
Yeah, because Michael, I can see his face. He never made it in the league at all.
No, he fizzled out when he got to the league.
Yeah,
like when he came out right after right before the draft. That pretty much tanked his career.
I would agree on that one.
Yeah, That pretty much tanked his career at that point. Because back in 2013, that was kind of still like taboo. Right now, you know what I mean? It's a little bit more accepted in
Yeah.
certain circles, you know what I mean? But I mean, in the sports arena, it's still taboo. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's just
Yeah,
something in sports you just don't.
yeah,
It
that's
ain't gonna help. And so, fortunately, it's not gonna help you. I hate saying
no,
that.
no, that's how I would break down the SEC right now, man. Of course, you got the big dogs at the top: Alabama, Georgia,
Hmm.
Texas, and LSU. The bottom four is Arkansas, um, South Carolina, Vanderbilt, and Florida. Those are the bottom feeders. Yeah, those are the
Speak
bottom feeders.
Speaking of bottom feeders, real quick before we jump on the hot topic, that is, if anybody's been watching the SEC expansion potentially yet again,
Mhm.
um, Florida, are they in a? I mean, obviously their program hasn't really been great
Man, I feel
um,
bad for Billy
since
Napier, man.
I did too. Wonderful coach and done wonders at Lafayette, Louisiana Lafayette, or Louisiana, however you want to call it now. But
Man, this
and
bro, that schedule, that has to be the most difficult schedule in the country.
I think they did that to make sure that they can help Florida to send his U-Haul truck out to his front door.
Bro, this schedule is absolutely unforgiving
Hmm.
from the top to the bottom. You know what I mean? They literally have one breather game, and that's Samford. But I mean, if you go through this schedule, man, they start the season with Miami.
Ooh.
Then they go to Sanford. Well, they got Miami at home, it looks like. And then they have Sanford at home. Then they got Texas A&M at home. But that's going to be a tough game. Then they have to go to Mississippi State. Then they have UCF. And you know, UCF has Gus Malzahn as the head coach, and then they just
Hmm.
picked up our old quarterback,
And
KJ Jefferson.
the same UCF team that that did come to Norman and almost upset the Sooners a year ago.
Yeah, and they got KJ Jefferson, and you know what KJ
Yep.
Jefferson bringing to the table. He's
Hmm.
bringing his lunch pail. You
Yep.
know what I mean? Then they go to Tennessee. Then they got Kentucky.
And Mark Stoops has his number lately,
Yep. And then they got Georgia,
which good luck on that
Texas,
one. Good luck on that one.
LSU, Ole Miss,
Mm.
and they end the season with Florida State.
Mm. Well,
Hey,
I can no, I think
there is no way he's getting out of this season, bro.
no, no.
I'm sorry to say it. Hell, Sam Pittman literally has a better chance to make it out of the season based on schedule alone. And we know how terrible Sam Pittman is.
Yeah, no, I think Billy's. I think unfortunately, unless he has a marvelous year, I think he's due. I mean, who could I? What would be my suggestion that they replace? I don't know. You know, that I'll let them decide on that. I'm not gonna waste time on who could potentially be the next head coach at Florida. I don't know. I mean, I couldn't even tell you where to begin. I doubt Urban Meyer wants it back. Uh,
No, absolutely not, man.
you would have to be the open. You would have to open the book for somebody legit to come in. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I
One
don't know
thing,
who.
one thing that Florida has going for them is that they're a historical blue blood program.
Yep. No,
Not only that,
absolutely,
they
absolutely.
have a lot of NIL money to give.
Hmm.
They're pretty much in the same position that Arkansas is in, bro. We just want to give money to the coach that we believe in, not the one that you give us. You get what I'm saying?
No, absolutely. Yeah.
If Florida can go get a good coach, I feel like they'll be fine, man. Just like Arkansas. I feel like that's a lot of teams' issue right now is coaching.
A lot of money, and that's money talks. And in Florida, there's a program like you said, it's a blue collar one, and
Yeah.
just like OU in Texas and Alabama, and the list goes down. USC and Michigan, Ohio State, they got the history to back it up, but it's just a program that hasn't seen much success lately, and it's a program that if they don't really watch themselves, they could easily really set themselves back
Yep.
years to
Yep.
where they already are, and you know
We'll see
that
how it
could
goes, man.
But we'll talk expansion. If we've been sleeping on the rock, I know I've been kind of reading some comments, but the expansion was two questions on this one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you've caught them all. Mo.
Yeah.
Florida State.
Josh Pate is the one that really got the ball rolling on this with everybody.
I don't know how much of it is true and not true because I heard Florida State, Clemson or at least Florida State part. I don't know much about Clemson's, but Florida State was eyeing the Big Ten, and then I don't know. There's a lot of academic apparently that might be involved in that, but Florida State, Clemson now being mentioned as potentially the next two to be joining the SEC. Yeah. Some people say this Florida State thing may be really quick and running, just like Oklahoma, Texas was once the news broke, and then the next day, they're joining, and then the rest is history from there.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, second part, Texas A&M potentially like, well, hold on here, guys. Time out. We got to put a stop on this here. And the one tweet, I'll let you on this one because you obviously can relate more and talk more on this one. The tweet I saw was potentially Notre Dame, Texas A&M to the Big Ten. But I can't, like I said, I know more about the Florida State potentially Clemson duo going to the SEC, but on the Texas A&M potentially going to the Big Ten, which I thought they should be better off going back to the Big 12, but whatever.
Mm-hmm.
To each its own. Your thoughts on Florida State, Clemson, and then backtracking back to Aggies now not getting what they want again, and they got to bail because Texas is back in the mix again.
Yeah. First starting off with Florida State, Clemson, man. I've always thought that geographically they are great fits for the SEC. I used to live in Greenville, South Carolina, so I was literally maybe 30 to 40 minutes away from Clemson's campus. I actually went to one of Clemson's spring games, man, just because I had nothing to do on a Saturday. But I think that they also bring championship brand football to the table. I mean, you got Dabo Swinney. He's got 2 championships at Clemson. Then you got an upstart in Mike Norvell, which I wish we would have hired him when we had the chance.
Yep.
But Mike Norvell is building something. They went undefeated last year, and the only reason that they didn't get into the college football playoff is because their starting quarterback was
Travis. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, so I think that they would be great fits for the SEC, and I mean, it'll be just iron sharpening iron at that point.
Mm-hmm.
There would be a lot of classic games. I mean, they wouldn't have a choice other than to schedule a rivalry game every single week in the SEC. You know what I'm saying? You've got freaking Clemson, South Carolina, freaking Florida State, Florida, Auburn versus Alabama, Mississippi State versus Mississippi. Like, bro, it would just be, it would get crazy in the SEC, man. I'll say that. I'm all for it. If they want to come in and contribute to the SEC brand, then I'm all for it. It would just get a little bit slimmer for teams like Texas to skate without having tough games on their schedule. And as far as Notre Dame and Texas A&M, I feel like Notre Dame is the best fit for the Big Ten. Geographically and just schematically, scheme-wise, you know what I mean? They just fit that brand of football in the North. You know what I mean? Texas A&M is going to make a huge mistake, bro. They're going to make a huge mistake. They are allowing the big brother in Texas to really show who the boss is. If you're willing to run to the Big Ten just because Texas is in the SEC, you're crazy. Y'all have more oil money than anybody in the league. Y'all have more money. Y'all literally raised $270 million in NIL money in like a week. And then y'all paid $76 million to somebody just to not even coach anymore.
Exactly.
Come on, man. Like, if I'll say this, if Texas A&M goes to the Big Ten, they're going to be choosing the lesser of two evils. Because the Big Ten is not a cakewalk. You got Michigan, you got Wisconsin,
Ohio State.
You got Ohio State. You've got freaking Dan Lanning and the freaking
Oregon Ducks.
Oregon Ducks, bro.
Penn
That is
State's and
Penn
Happy
State.
Valley is a tough one.
James Franklin he has a solid program at Penn State, man. Bro, Texas A&M would be looking really, really stupid to have to drive all the way across. I mean, to fly all across the country to get their asses whooped. You know what I mean? Instead of staying regionally in the SEC and just sucking it up.
And I know USC hasn't been the USC, and they probably won't ever get back to the Pete Carroll days. And Lincoln Riley, he may not get that thing going, but USC's never
they're not a pushover.
a
They're
pushover
always
either.
going to be a threat. They're always going to be a threat. So I feel like Texas A&M is going to be trading the lesser of two evils, one evil for another, and it's not going to be a good thing for them because they're going to be flying all across the country just to play games. You know what I mean? So it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense at all.
Well, and they got to think of, I mean, they can do whatever they want, but my thing is this: they got to look at the bright future, the bright picture of the things. Nobody nationally is going to care who. Well, no, Texas A&M travels to Northwestern. Nobody cares.
No,
nobody cares if you go to Illinois. Nobody cares if you go back to Nebraska. Nobody. Now the Auburns and the rest goes on. Yeah, but not. Well, Texas A&M goes to Rutgers today. Cool.
Nobody's
all
gonna
right.
care about those games.
No.
Yeah, nobody's gonna care about those games. Even a Vanderbilt freaking Texas A&M game is gonna get more more airplay than Texas A&M Rutgers game. You get what I'm saying? No. And we all know how terrible Vanderbilt is. So no, they would be making a huge mistake.
No, I think A&M, you guys can do what you guys want to do.
They can do whatever they want to.
Yeah, I'm sure revenue money, you're probably going to lose a whole lot more than you probably will from Big Ten. Maybe not. Who knows? TV revenue, I'm sure you definitely got to be losing a lot.
A huge hit in TV revenue. You're going to lose a lot of you're going to lose a lot of deals if you go to the Big Ten. I mean, the Big Ten I think they have a deal on the table with CBS, right?
Yep.
So the SEC has ESPN, and then the Big Ten has CBS.
Correct.
The bigger games are going to be on ESPN, bro. I mean,
yeah.
And you have a lot of cross-conference games in LSU and who is that? Who is that they're playing? We just got done talking about it.
They got
LSU and USC.
USC and UCLA the two.
And then you got Michigan and Texas. You know what I mean? Those are cross-conference games that are going to be who's going to have that game? ESPN or CBS. But all I'm saying is that if they go to the Big Ten, they're going to lose a lot of that revenue. You know what I mean? Because the games they just won't mean any much. They just won't mean much. It means more in the SEC, bro. It just means more.
It just means more.
Yeah, bro. It just means more, man.
Listen, A&M, you guys can do what you want, but it just means more in the Southeastern Conference. They're actually, and I hate saying this, but I know the Big 12. I don't know how the Big 12 is going to do after this point with Oklahoma and Texas leaving, but they're better off going to the Big 12.
Yeah, they are because it's regional, man.
Yeah.
I mean, you would still have the clout in the Big Ten. You would literally have a better chance of going to the college football playoff because you're going to be the big dog in the Big 12. You know what I mean? Who is gonna be your opposition in the Big 12 other than
Oklahoma
Texas
State, maybe?
Oklahoma State. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They would have a better chance of making it to the college football playoff and getting a bye week because they're a conference champion if they go to the Big 12. They're just gonna be trading, like I said, ass whoopings for ass whoopings going to the Big 10. You know what I mean? Would you like a belt or would you like a switch? Which one?
You got one option. Yeah. I mean, it's not gonna feel good.
Yeah.
Yeah, Aggie yells, but no, I mean, I'm going to keep an eye on that. I'm definitely going to keep an eye on that one just because I think it's hilarious that they're the reason why Oklahoma, Texas, well, in a way, are in the SEC because Texas is leaving the Big 12, and I was like, all of a sudden, like, no, we're not, but hey, we'll go if you guys want us, and of course, Sankey's going to, of course, want OU Texas, so, and then of course, Florida State, Clemson's going to be interesting. Dark horse in the SEC as we head down the home stretch.
Yeah.
I think I hate saying this because we're used to being a top dog in the Big 12. I think Oklahoma could be a dark horse. I'm going to be a little biased on this one. I think if they can get by Tennessee and Auburn to start SEC play, week off before Texas, I think that could benefit them in the long run. And it could also benefit them in the long run if they lose both. I mean, it goes both ways. I think that can make or break their season regardless. what happens in Dallas.
Right.
But Oklahoma, and I think Arkansas and Tennessee. I know a lot of people aren't high on Tennessee. I think OU and Tennessee is about that halfway mark,
Yeah.
7th, 8th rankings in the SEC. Those are my top three dark horses. Who would be yours as we head towards the
My
season?
top three, I will go ahead and say Oklahoma because I agree with you. If y'all can put it together on the defensive side of the ball,
Yeah.
y'all are going to have a chance in every single game. Um, if Brent Venables has really retooled that defensive line and tightened up that secondary, y'all have a chance to go into Tennessee and to beat Tennessee at home. Y'all have a chance to beat Auburn. Y'all have already proven that y'all can beat Texas, and
Yeah.
I don't see y'all having a problem with South Carolina. The only issues that I see are in those last 5 games. Ole Miss, Maine is not going to be a problem, but
No.
Missouri, Alabama, and LSU are going to be the keys. But if y'all go into that Texas game undefeated, the season is wide open for y'all, man. Y'all could literally be a college football playoff team. I would say the OU is a dark horse. I would say that Arkansas is a dark horse only because everybody's counting them out. And
Right.
Arkansas has a lot of talent, bro. And not only that, we have the best offensive coordinator that we've had in the past 10 years in Bobby Petrino. And I'm not just saying this because I'm an Arkansas fan. I'm literally saying that Bobby Petrino is one of the only coaches that I've ever seen that can take what he has and put together a top 50 offense. He's done it every single place that he's been, at Arkansas, at Louisville. Bro, he did it at Missouri State. Missouri State was a top 50 offense in the country. You get what I'm saying? And he has much more talent than he had at Missouri State, at Arkansas. And bro, last season, Texas A&M was a top 50 offense with a backup quarterback and a handicapped Bobby Petrino, because Jimbo Fisher up until he got fired had Bobby Petrino handcuffed.
Yep.
So, I mean, I'll say that Arkansas is a spoiler team. Arkansas can be the spoiler to a lot of teams' hopes to the college football playoff this season. I'll say that Arkansas can be a spoiler team. But my true dark horse is Ole Miss.
Ooh.
Ole Miss has it all. Ole Miss has the firepower on offense, the showboat head coach, and they have a retooled defense. If they put it all together, bro, they could possibly win the SEC.
I think, I still got Georgia winning the SEC, and rightfully so.
Yeah.
But I think Ole Miss is right along with them. I think they can, easily compete with them. I mean, hopefully we get that opportunity, but I think Ole Miss can win it. Yeah, I think Ole Miss is a team that can easily make a push, but and then
we didn't even talk about Ole Miss's schedule. Let me just give a quick rundown.
Yeah.
Ole Miss starts the season out with Furman.
Yeah.
Then they play Middle Tennessee State.
Cool.
Then they play Wake Forest.
Yeah.
Georgia Southern.
Yikes.
Kentucky. And South Carolina. They're going to be undefeated going into the LSU game.
Yeah, I don't see no loss there.
They have a freaking preseason before they even get to Kentucky. Yeah. You get what I'm saying? They have a literal 5-week preseason before they get to Kentucky, and Furman, Middle Tennessee, Wake Forest, and Georgia Southern. That's a preseason.
Yeah.
Then the meat of their schedule starts in Kentucky, which I see them beating Kentucky, and then they're going to beat South Carolina. Then they have to go to Death Valley. This is where it's going to get dicey for them. Then they play LSU. Then they play OU. Then they come to Arkansas. Then they play Georgia. Though that's the meat of their schedule. LSU, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Georgia is their gauntlet.
And if Oklahoma can get, and I said this before, if we can get, we've heard in Oklahoma, if we can get the offensive line built, our receiving core is phenomenal. Young stud, Nick Anderson, and Deion Burks coming out of the transfer out of Purdue, and
he looked good in y'all spring game.
Yeah, I mean, and again, running back, I like our running core. If we can get the quarterback situation, make sure if Jackson Arnold is the guy in our offensive line and that defense, if OU gets that momentum going, that Ole Miss game could be really doozy.
Yeah, I can see that being a top 10 game. You know what I mean? But they finished the year after Georgia with Florida and Mississippi State. So it's wide open for Ole Miss, man. Their schedule is laying out pretty favorably, and they have all the talent to get it done.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So we'll see. They could literally have one blemish on their schedule all season, and that could be Georgia. Because they could easily beat everybody else.
And that could easily be a preview of the SEC championship game.
Yep.
As long as, if Texas does what I think they could easily do, I think that could be the SEC championship game. Your SEC champion, who you got?
Georgia. Easy.
Maybe somebody else out there. Yeah, Georgia's mine. I don't see I mean, there's teams out there. Ole Miss, I think Alabama, depends on how they react to Kellen DeBoer's way of coaching and life after Saban. But excuse me, I think Georgia, it's theirs to
it's theirs to lose.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No argument.
They are the alpha dog in the SEC. Everybody else is pulling at their coattails, trying to get to the top.
Yep.
You know what I mean? After that, maybe Alabama, if Kalen DeBoer can hold together what Nick Saban built. Maybe everything else in that top 5 to top 10 is up for grabs. I mean, I would say that top 6 tier, that top 8 that we were talking about earlier is up for grabs. Other than Georgia, other than the number 1 spot, everything else is up for grabs.
Last question as we wrap up. If Sam Pittman has a season like some think he may, who would you be your top choice? And Arkansas happens to let him go. Who would you be your top choice as head coach of Arkansas? And I'm going to say one thing. There's a name out there. He always gets mentioned to Arkansas, and I don't know why. I don't know if it's a regional thing, if he's got connections out there, even though he's a Stillwater guy. Mike Gundy always gets mentioned for Arkansas. He always does. I don't know why, but
I don't want Mike Gundy. No, I don't want Mike Gundy. I'll say that.
He wouldn't be good for your program. I can assure that.
Bro, I've been racking my brain for weeks because I'm gonna do a show. I'm gonna compile a list of offensive coordinators, defensive coordinators, and current head coaches that could possibly be replacements for Sam Pittman. I've been trying to figure it out, man, but I haven't given it a whole lot of thought. But I'll say right off the top of my head, I like Jeff Traylor at UTSA.
Ooh.
I like Jeff Traylor, bro. Ooh. He's been at Arkansas before with Chad Morris. He was on Chad Morris's staff. I like Barry Lonnie Jr. up there at Illinois with Brett Bielema. I like those guys because they know the Arkansas landscape. Not only that, they can recruit and they can build a program. I've heard Rhett Lashley.
I'll give you one and see what your thoughts are. If he struggles, and he wasn't bad, but you can tell his brand isn't working yet. What about up in Wisconsin? What about Luke Fickell?
I like Luke Fickell. Bro. And I'll be honest with you, that would be if he would be willing to leave Cincinnati. I mean, he left Cincinnati, right? He's at Wisconsin.
He's at Wisconsin now.
Yeah. If he would be willing to leave Wisconsin, that would be kind of like the equivalent of us hiring Brett Bielema away from Wisconsin. You get what I'm saying? It would be a big brand name. Luke Fickell is a big name.
Oh, absolutely.
And he knows how to build a program. He's still fairly young. He's not crazy old or anything like that. I like Luke Fickell, bro. I would entertain that. But I'll say this, with what Arkansas did in basketball and going out and getting Calipari, Arkansas Razorback fans aren't looking for just a name coach. We're looking for a home run, slam dunk. We're going to be solidified for the foreseeable future in football type head coach. You get what I'm saying? Because we got the money.
Well, yeah.
We got the money. It's just a matter of who they want to spend their money on.
Here you go. I got one for you just for a twist.
Talk to me.
Just for a twist. But that home run, even though I don't know how much of a home run you would consider this as, what if Lincoln struggles at USC and gets fired? Lincoln Riley?
Oh.
Talk about a twist in the SEC. Because eventually we're going to play you guys eventually. And I know it won't be next year because the schedule already came out, so we have to be at least The earliest would be 26.
That would definitely be a twist. The only
His
caveat I have
defense
to
is gonna
that,
suck all the
that's
time.
what I was about to say. The only caveat I have to that is that he has to bring
Yeah.
a menacing defensive coordinator with him. If he doesn't have a defensive staff, he can stay where the hell he's at. Stay at USC. You got to bring some defense to the SEC, buddy. Like we'll take him. Don't get me wrong, we'll take him. But if he doesn't have a defense to back it up, nah, I'm good. I'm good on that. Now I'll say this: I'll take Kalen DeBoer if Alabama doesn't want him.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So there's some options out there, bro, and we got the money. We just need to figure out who we want to spend it on.
Well, that would be the thing is, and I'm sure I hate saying this. I don't like, because that's everybody's livelihood. I get, well, they're rich. Well, I don't care. It's still a livelihood.
Yeah.
The chance of Pittman being fired, I'm going to be honest, I'm sure it's probably going to be high.
It's 80 to 9. It's 80 to 100%, bro. Even if Arkansas, the only way that we would entertain keeping Sam Pittman is if we win 9 or more games. Anything less than that, he's gone, bro. It is what it is, because with everybody retooling in the SEC, with Missouri recruiting at such a high rate, with Texas coming in, with OU coming in, with all their tradition and pageantry, with the threat of Florida State coming in, with Mike Norvell and Clemson and Dabo Sweeney, bro. In order to compete, in order for you not to become the Vanderbilt 2.0, you have to go and get equivalent coaches, and you have to be able to put money into the program. That's the only way Arkansas is going to survive. If Arkansas does not go and get a head coach after this season, we will be doomed to be a basketball school.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a fair adjustment. Yeah.
Yeah. Other than that, man, no. Thank you, Sam Pittman. The best thing that Sam Pittman can do for Arkansas's program is to give us a winning record and retire with class. Just fair. Yeah. You get what I'm saying? At least leave on good terms. Don't leave Arkansas in a bad spot, in a place that everybody hates you, that you can't retire on Lake Hamilton like you really want to. Because if he leaves Arkansas with a losing record, he will be run out of the state of Arkansas.
Mm-hmm.
You get what I'm saying? But if he puts his pride to the side, he gives us a winning season this season, whether it's 7, 8, 9 wins, whatever he can do, and says, hey guys, this is exactly what I wanted to do. I love Arkansas enough to give y'all a winning record and part ways. Y'all deserve a better head coach. I will forever respect Sam Pittman for that, bro. That's the best he can do for Arkansas.
No, I like Sam Pittman. Obviously, I don't know the dude personally and probably never will, but be cool to meet him. I think in person, I think that'd be pretty dope. But
one day we will, when we get these credentials, man, and we're at SEC Media Days. You know what I mean? Next, bro.
Hey, I'll be down for that. Yeah. I'll be down for that. Because it's going to happen. Trust on that one.
It's a matter of time, bro. We're going to have our credentials soon.
Yes, sir.
We're going to be at SEC Media Days doing exactly what we're doing right now with coaches and players.
SEC Media Days now down in Dallas, unfortunately. Well, I mean, it's cool. It's in Dallas. I didn't think it would ever happen in Dallas. But
it's probably about 20, 25 minutes away from my house. There's no traffic. I'm trying to figure out how to get in there, man. I want to be one of those fans putting up signs. You know what I mean? I want them to see my face. You know what I mean? How do I get credentials? How do I get in here? I'm trying to shake hands, buddy. I'm trying to rub shoulders. I want to talk to people.
That's what it's all about. It's all connecting and doing this for almost 5 years now, getting close to there. It's doomed, but not doomed, but it's boomed and ready to happen. But we'll get there one day and like, Mama, I made it to the top.
I know, right? Mama, we made it.
We made it, Mama. But
a great show, man.
No, I enjoyed it. It was a blast. Definitely enjoyed it. And where can the listeners find you at and listen to your podcast?
Man, you can find me on all social media platforms at the Hog Wild Podcast. On YouTube, it's official Hog Wild Podcast. And you can also find me in my alter ego SEC Mo on Twitter. You know what I mean? At Real SEC Mo. So at Real SEC Mo on Twitter. at Hog Wild Podcast on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. I just built out my Instagram page and
Nice.
Facebook page. I'm building out my website right now, hogwildpodcast.com. And yeah, YouTube, man. Check me out on YouTube. Let's run these numbers up, people. Come check us out. Any and all things Razorbacks, you will find it at the Hog Wild Podcast. You will find the most in-depth coverage of the Razorbacks at the Hog Wild Podcast on YouTube.
Well, I'm gonna be subscribing once we get off of here, and to your pod, to the people that was listening, watching, whatever the case, and for future episodes, appreciate your support. Mo, this was a fun show. I enjoyed it.
Man. Anytime, man. Anytime you want to talk SEC football, talk Razorbacks, talk OU, Boomer Sooner, let me know, man. I'm down to collaborate, man.
Hey, I will say this on the note. Let me pull this up real quick. I believe we got you guys again this year in men's basketball.
Absolutely. That's gonna be a game. I think we're gonna get some revenge this year, brother. we got some houses, brother. I'll tell you what. Hey, we had one player left over from Eric Musselman's team, and he was a walk-on. And let me tell you, when he got around those Ferraris and Lamborghinis, he blew a gasket, man. He blew his Achilles trying to keep up with them boys, man. You got Carter Knox, you got Jonas Adu, you got Adu Thiero, you got Big Z, you got the kid from Florida Atlantic, John L. Davis. Man, we have a squad.
Yeah, we play you guys in Fayetteville this year.
And you better be there, brother, because I'll be there. I will be there.
Hey, I'll definitely be there.
It's like a 3-hour drive, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say Fayetteville from Oklahoma City. If all you listeners, if you don't know, that's where I'm at.
I know it's only like 2 hours from Tulsa.
It's 2 from Tulsa, and I'll be honest with you. Up I-44, Mo, I can get there in less than 2 hours because I think it's straight 80-mile-an-hour speed zone, and I think I can get up there in 85. I think I push it, saying 580, something like that. I think it's the speed limit,
bro.
So
let's try to link up and do a live show up there somewhere, man.
Oh, dude, that'd be dope.
That's what I'm saying. We can collaborate. You're in the SEC, bro.
Let's go for it.
We can chill on Dixon Street. We can find a spot on Dixon Street.
That's what I'm talking about.
Post up and do a live show. I got a roadcaster. We can pod from anywhere, bro.
Well, I can bring this thing with me all the time.
That's what I'm saying, bro. Let's link up and let's try to figure out how we can do a live collaborative pod.
We'll swap numbers at the end and I'll hit you up. But listeners, definitely give him support on all social media platforms, all that information description in the episode. Mo, it was fun. Wish you all have a wonderful rest of your evening.
Absolutely.
And even though Texas took you guys from us this year, please beat them for us. And as long as we beat them, we gotta get that first.
I'll just say that we have a chance to be the spoiler to a lot of teams this year.
And give our little brothers up north in Stillwater, please come to Stillwater and please give them a great, a good and welcome beating for us. We would appreciate that. And but listeners, it's been fun, a great way to kick things back off the Air Raid Tech podcast. Listen to us on all major podcast platforms. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Find us on Facebook. And hey, guess what, guys? Time to air it out.
It was a pleasure. Y'all have a good night.
See ya.